Thank you for watching this short YouTube video. It's a heart reflection, hopefully that will empower you come back into your heart. Let me explain. Early this morning we had a special bed delivered for one of our community. And the two men that came with the bed quite early this morning were interesting, fascinating. It turned out they were both lapsed Catholics. Well, that's what they said they were. Both were educated by the Christian Brothers in the UK as I was in Ireland. And what they shared with my heart left me feeling a sense of sadness. I won't repeat in layman's language what they called them, but what they did say was, and these were men of God. How could they be so cruel, vindictive and manipulative? But let's look at another example. In our world today, we are finding some pretty horrific stories of sexual abuse carried out by groups of men on young children as young as 11. We're finding politicians found out for their greed, hypocrisy, their lying and deceitfulness, and the glib excuses that they give. Oh, I didn't realize. And yet if it was an ordinary man or woman on the street who was found shoplifting, say, a bag of sugar, they'd be locked up. There would appear to be now a new god on the block called the God of Greed. Why are so many people willing to compromise their divinity, their reputation, their family honor for the sake of greed? It must be part of human nature. I've never experienced greed. I am aware that there are members of my blood family who would do anything because of greed. I've witnessed that, and it tore me apart. And I hear it so often from members of our community, where family members and friends, even work colleagues, have been found out. Mind you, it might have taken years. But what is it today that makes people behave in such an ungodly way? And yet, despite all our advances in technology, we've become an insular nation. We don't communicate with one another. We seem to have lost basic caring skills. I remember as a young boy growing up in Dublin, where my granny would sit me by the fire, and in her 2 banana boxes she had a lot of little chicks that she was hand rearing because she was self-sufficient. She had an allotment in her back garden where she grew everything and had a hen run. And I think she had about 30 hens. I've only got 5. But we talked, we shared, we told stories. We didn't mither with the television because it was a new invention. But today it would appear that everybody, even children, have got their own iPad, iPod, iPlayer, television, Games Boy in their room. Even monastics have it. And what's happening? The art of communication is being compromised. People are not communicating. It's like the troubles in Syria between the two beautiful communities, the Shiite and the Sunni Muslims. There doesn't seem to be anything yet that's bringing the two sides together, and you would have thought that as they are both devout Muslims, that the religious leaders would would broker a peace deal. No. Fear. Fear of retribution. And today it's like the whistleblowers in the national health and the education systems who whistleblow on the injustices. What happens to them? They're got rid of. Their life is made a misery because they dare to speak their truth. What is wrong with us today? Why do we allow people manipulate us and control us? It's the same in the church. It's the same in every religion. I know when I was a young nursing monk in the Catholic Church, I witnessed atrocities in the name of God, of superiors who were so full of ego and nonsense, but I also met others who were genuine. But they were the ones that suffered from the hands of these tyrants. And I guess that's why so many of us left. Not because we didn't love God, but we couldn't cope with the brutality and the victimization. And society is like that today, but you and I can do something to make it come to heal. Prayer. Prayer. But a lot of people today, when you mention prayer, they look at you with a blank face and they say, "What? What's that?" Because many young people today have grown up not knowing who God is. That's an awful indictment. Because you and I are creators of love. We are children of a loving Creator who created us in love. And look how we respond to one another. Look at the man's inhumanity to man. How various religious factions desecrate the divine in young women and girls by treating them like some material possession. The time has come where we have to give a reckoning and account to God for the wrongs that we've committed to ourselves and to others. And the way forward is simply this: be your own person. Find your truth. Honor your truth. Speak your truth. It doesn't matter if you're going to pay the price for it, because I have. As the founder of the Teo community, what I have discovered in the last 7 years is this: the people who praise me, "Oh, Brother Sean, you're marvellous. Oh, we couldn't do without you," that precedes a mighty fall. And often it's when the same person who praised you stabs you in the back and really sticks the knife in. And yet they pretend to be all compassionate and caring. But as Jesus said, there are many wolves in sheep's clothing. And religion and the church is not exempt, because there are devils in disguise, even in the Vatican. But you and I have a duty of care to ourselves. Not to rely on others to spoon feed us, not to rely on others to show us the way. We already have built within us. It's programmed in our soul's DNA. We brought that information with us before we incarnated on earth. It's already there. So there's no need to go off and do a course on reprogramming. All you have to do is be still and call on the Supreme, call on the Divine, call on the Spirit of God, call on Gaia and your spiritual teacher to reawaken your heart to your truth. And that truth is divine truth. And whatever you receive and hear, ignore the mind that will want to rationalize the message. And once you do that, you've lost it. You've lost the message. And too many light workers today, too many learned souls on the path, are processing the messages from the Supreme, from their God. And some are so full of ego, it's scary. They want you to feed their ego. I've seen it with spiritualists, and I'm not knocking spiritualists. But there's this craving for power, for adulation. Jesus once said to his followers, and I quote Jesus because I'm a Catholic Christian, I'm not a Buddhist, but I am a great devotee of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, as I am of Brother Gandhi, Mia Baba, Osho and Rumi. Oh yes. Because St. Francis of Assisi back in the 12th century, he was interfaith as well. It's to find in your heart, to listen to your heart. But the Dalai Lama says this: practice is more important than theory. It is much more beneficial to try to implement daily the shared precepts for goodness taught by all religions, rather than to argue about minor differences in approach. And he concludes by saying, all major religions are basically the same in that they emphasize peace of mind and kindness, but it is very important to practice this in our daily lives, not just in a church, a shul or a temple. So to thine own self be true. To thine own self be true. Take responsibility for your life and allow your heart become reawakened to the divine within you and all around you. And the moment you surrender your heart to the Creator, the moment you will receive the abundance of God, and it will change you for the rest of your life. And you won't mind what people throw at you, because those who criticize you, as I've discovered, were used as a mirrored reflection, and whatever they accuse us of, they're really condemning themselves. It is about themselves that they're talking about, not us, not you. So be strong, dust yourself down, and go and let your light shine, but be true to thine own self. Namaste.